This is page 5 of the trig ratios packet, and this time we're going to be finding an angle. So if we look at number 1 here, we have our angle is x, and across from that angle is still the opposite side, and across from the right angle is still the hypotenuse. And we're still using sine, SOHCAHTOA to decide whether we should use sine, cosine, or tangent. So in this case, we have an opposite and a hypotenuse. That means we're going to use sine. We're going to have the sine of x, the angle, equals the 15 over the 24, the opposite over the adjacent. The opposite over the hypotenuse, sorry. Now, it wouldn't make any sense to multiply by 24 because that's not helping us get x by itself. So instead, when you are trying to find an angle, you need to get rid of the sine. And to do that, we do the inverse of sine. So do the inverse of sine, and then 15 divided by 24. We're going to use the Desmos calculator. Once again, you need to make sure that it's in degrees. And you just hold down, you hit the function button, hit inverse sine. This is page 5 of the trig ratios packet, and this time we're going to be finding the angle. So if I look at number 1, I have my angle is still x, and across from the angle, that's our opposite side, and across from the right angle, that is our hypotenuse. So we need to decide from SOHCAHTOA should we use sine, cosine, or tangent? Well, since we have opposite and hypotenuse, we're going to use sine. So it's going to be the sine of the angle, which is x, equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now we need to get x by itself. And in order to do that, we need to get rid of sine. So whenever you're trying to find an angle, you need to get rid of the trig function. And to do that, we're going to use inverse sine. That's sine to the negative first power of 15 over 24. So we're going to use the Desmos calculator again. And to do that, you're going to go to function. You're going to make sure your calculator is in degrees, and then you hit inverse sine. You go back to the main menu and you do 15 divided by 24. And you get 38.68. And since this is an angle, you include a degrees sign. So the degrees of angle x is about 38.68 degrees. So if we look at number 2, we have our theta. We have the side across from the right angle, so that is our hypotenuse. We do not have the opposite side, we have adjacent. So which trig function relates adjacent and hypotenuse? Well, that is the cosine. So cosine x equals 8 over 11. Now, because we're trying to find an angle, we need to get rid of the cosine. To do that, you do the inverse cosine, so cosine to the negative first, of 8 divided by 11. So put that in Desmos. You go to function, inverse cosine, back to main of 8 divided by 11. So 43.34. And remember, we're finding an angle, so it's in degrees. Number 3, we have our angle. We have the side opposite our angle. We do not have the side across from the hypotenuse. Instead, we have the adjacent side. So, which trig function relates opposite and adjacent? Well, that's the TOA, the tangent. So we have the tangent theta equals the O over the A. So tangent of x equals 20 over 37. Now, because I'm trying to find an angle, I need to get rid of the tangent. So I need to do inverse tangent to the negative first, of 20 divided by 37. So go to function, inverse tangent, back to main, 20 divided by 37. You get 28.39. And this is an angle, so it's in degrees. So why don't you guys take a second, and you want to try to find the angle for 4, 5, and 6. Okay? And then I will write out the answers, that way you know if you got it correct or not. So those are the first 6 problems. Now the rest of these problems on page 5 are reviewed. They mix up whether you're trying to find the side or the angle. So let's go through just a couple of them. So we have the angle is 39. We have the opposite and the adjacent. So this is going to be tangent of 39 equals 11 over x. Remember, when x is in the denominator, you can switch these guys, which ends up being the same as multiplying by x and then dividing by tangent 39. And you would put 11 divided by the tangent of 39 in your calculator, and you get 13.58. It does not get a degree sign because we're finding the side of a triangle. And we'll do number 8 together. 46 is my theta. I have my hypotenuse and my adjacent. So that is cosine. Now when you have the number just in the denominator, you multiply by 28, and then you're done. You just put that in the calculator, 28 cosine 46. And this is also a side, so it does not get a degree sign. If you want to pause the video and do number 9 and 10, I can have the answers for you on those.